screams a lot and he swears. And at the end of it, when they come out, someone jumps out to jump scare him again, and he pretends he's going to deck him. And it just comes across as really inappropriate and aggressive. Have you seen the clip?
I've seen the bit with Harry going like, "Oh yeah, look, I'm tough. I'm gonna punch this person in the face."
Hi, Taz. Long time no see. You've been crook, you poor love.
Oh yeah, hi Shauna. I know. I came back from Scotland, picked up a really nasty bug, and it's been 2 weeks now. I'm still full of it, so my voice might crack throughout this, and I might start hacking up with a nasty cough. So I apologise in advance. But how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I've still got my broken ankle.
Ouch.
We should get together. Yeah, we should get together. But we've had some news to cheer us, because I'm just going to go there now. We've gone from Duchess difficult to a dictator in high heels, and even now a psycho and a demon. I don't know if you want to share any thoughts on this subject, Taz?
Oh, well, to be fair, I think it was the way that Meghan decided to over-egg the pudding and go into overdrive in her defence. I think, if anything, they've made a bad situation worse. It was bad enough with the initial Hollywood Reporter saying that she's a dictator in high heels. She goes around barking orders. She makes grown men cry. I think we all know that's probably Harry. And, that was bad enough. But because, as I said, she's gone into mass defence mode. She's got members of former staff, current staff. And, well, we're being told it's them. I mean, there's a bit of me that thinks it's Meghan Markle actually sending the emails of the wonderful glowing testimonies herself. It's so over the top. It's so sugary sweet. A lot of the stories that they have told are so, I don't know, really making her sound like she can walk on water. She's saintly. She's the bestest girl boss that anyone could ever had. And the reality is, if that was true, why does everybody keep leaving at such an alarming speed? So a clapback to come back, I think whoever's leaking is going, hey, I'm not having this. She's already trying to say that we're all liars. So then they've come back with an even worse, with the Daily Beast.
Yes, exactly.
Another American publication.
Yeah, floodgates. And it was just so that even the headline for Daily Beast, I've got it here, former employees of demon boss Meghan Markle recall psycho moments. Now, that's just what she didn't want to happen. And it's also, how would you handle it? If you were Meghan Markle, what would you have done when that Hollywood Reporter article came out? What would you do?
Well, the thing is, it's really hard to put yourself in Meghan's shoes, because some ways she's predictable, but in other ways she's not. I mean, the way that most people would handle lies about them was they would completely ignore them. I've had lots of horrible things written about me and said about me on the internet, and you just ignore it because you know it's not true. And it's almost like Meghan is protesting too much, way too much. And she's trying to really push the point that she's so far in the opposite direction that it can't possibly be true. It makes it just look even worse, as I've said. The more she tries to defend herself, and the really sickly sweet stories that her staff are telling the media, it just, as I said, it's making a bad situation worse. I think that she should have just ignored it. Water off a duck's back. Didn't she say things that she reads about herself? It's just noise that she ignores. And she should have continued ignoring it, because, as I say now, she's made it a lot worse. A psycho. Honestly, those are the words that you do not want printed about yourself at all.
I've also noticed that when she's clapping back, she's answering her critics. You know how she's always criticised about never having ironed clothes? Well, she's putting in these really strange things like, the chief of staff, the ex-chief of staff turned up before this royal gala, and I don't know what royal gala it was going to be in the USA, and wearing a jumpsuit. A jumpsuit to a royal gala, and she was steaming at Taz.
There's that one, and then there's the response in her email. If this email reaches you outside of your working hours, I know that my working hours might be different. Please don't feel obliged to respond. Now, that's a clapback from the original bullying allegations that surfaced when she was a member of the royal family, the 5 a.m. angry emails. Okay, the Hollywood Reporter has rehashed it. But it's like she's given a clap back to previous accusations. I reckon she's just got so many accusations about her now. She's struggling to remember which one she's trying to defend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a disparity there too, because the Hollywood Reporter is actually a respected magazine. It's really a trade magazine. It's got really good journalists in it. They research, they know their stuff. And then to clap back through Us Weekly, which is so trashily tabloid. There's such a disparity there. And also the fact that Dan Wakeman, who's editor-in-chief of Us Weekly, was the editor-in-chief of People when she got her 5 friends to say about her dad's letter.
But and that's the thing, Shauna. Sorry to interrupt you. We had the 5 friends at People magazine, and guess the number of employees that spoke to Us Weekly? 5.
Yes,
and it's the same editor. You're like, wow, she really is just copy and paste.
Yeah. Okay, but if we're going to play devil's advocate and give her the benefit of the doubt, okay, if I was in her position and my husband didn't actually come to my defense, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, your husband, my husband, if someone was printing that I was a psycho and a demon and a dictator in high heels, the first thing they would do would probably be do a to-camera rebuttal in my defense, even if it wasn't true. But they would be just out of loyalty. Now, Harry very blatantly hasn't, and that's fueling all the rumours that, like you've said all along, that they are not together. And I think you are being proven right in this moment. But just say they are together in some way.
Business purposes, shall we say,
Yeah, he should have come out in defence of his wife, shouldn't he?
Well, Shauna, this is the thing. He's in New York trying to pretend that he's an influential person at the moment. He's some sort of global world leader, which quite clearly we all know that Harry is not. But he has had a microphone in his hand and he's been talking about online bullying, social media bullying. He's had the perfect opportunities to talk about things that have affected his wife. And much like when he wrote that email to People magazine for his birthday, talking about how his children are the most important thing in his life, there was no mention of his wife. He's had ample opportunities. And as I said, this is a perfect platform, especially with online bullying, that he could have said something. Where are the gushing words from Harry talking about the woman that saved him, the love of his life? He hasn't mentioned Meghan once. He did again, however, mention his children. Remember on one of the speeches where he said about his children, my children are on my lock screen. And It's like, what? Not your wife and your children? So there is something definitely going on. My suspicions on this. But I think there's been a big blowout between the couple. I think we're getting very close to finding out that they're not just separating their business ventures.
Yes, exactly. And I think it is going to go nuclear. I mean, we're getting to that point. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I saw an interesting link that Ava Gardner actually posted on X, and it's quite amusing because it's from Business Times Online. Okay, I don't think they're the most reputable thing, but I've got the quote because it's just hilarious. And it was a typo, everyone. We're not taking this seriously, but it was hilarious. And it was talking about Ashley Hansen, who was Meghan Markle, or she still is, isn't she? No, she's left.
Yeah.
She's left.
No,
Ashley Hansen's left. Yeah. Well, back around the time where Meghan actually rang all those senators about parental leave, this is what Ashley Hansen supposedly said. She talks about how she and Meghan breastfed Princess Lilibet at the same time.
Yeah, which is rather weird.
And I'm thinking, is Ashley the surrogate?
Well, there's a lot to be said there. That's a subject that I do not touch. But it's strange because she's apparently breastfeeding Princess Lily. But in Mandana Dayani, who was their their chief operating officer, she said in her clapback as well that she was sitting on the floor with Meghan, calling the senators as she was feeding Lily. So it's like, well, how many people are going to be telling the story that they were with Meghan feeding Lily together? Like it's like some joint thing that you do. But the breastfeeding one, that must have been a very bad typo.
And I suppose we should sort of do a disclaimer that there's going to be heaps of people sort of jumping on the bandwagon, trying to get the clicks. So there's going to be a lot of sort of, misinformation out there. However,
theories.
Yeah, it was funny. But Tom Sykes of Daily Beast, no, reputable. Hollywood Reporter, reputable. Yeah. You brought up about New York, and I've got to say, when I saw him do that lock screen thing, I was trying to see.
Everyone was like,
because there's no way he's got them on his lock screen phone. No. But I also found that so exploitive too, because then they brought up all the children,
other children,
where the world's lost, and it was just so performative. And also the photographs that they brought up of the children, it wasn't lock screen photos from their parents. It was the time they died with their photo.
Oh, gosh, that's made my blood run cold. I didn't even know that.
It was just whoever advised him to do that. It was just so
bad. That's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is awful. It's just, I could only imagine.
That's using other people's tragedies to promote yourself, because when he did do that speech, I've listened to it. I listened to it on the Royal Road. If you want to listen to the speech, I suggest he's actually done a really good one, because he fast forwards it. So it's like, and it's the only way that's bearable to listen to.
Yeah.
But he goes on to plug Archewell, their parenting network. 1 minute he is talking about, the devastating impact of losing children to social media. But that's why we at Archewell have launched the parenting network where we will do this. And I thought, you've just used other people's tragedies, which is truly horrific, all of those children's faces and teenagers and young people in the background, and you're plugging your Archewell initiative. And I just thought, that's disgraceful. It really is disgraceful, but they do use other people's tragedies to promote themselves. Look at Meghan with Uvalde, which has also been brought up again because of Mandana Dayani's clapback defending Meghan.
Yeah, in Us Weekly, they did use Uvalde and to illustrate that she was kind. And I thought, well, how is performative grief with a crew in tow, getting across that you're kind? Yeah. So they're not grifters. They're not grifters. They're grifters. They are. They are.
They absolutely are. And I mean, I did a video on it a long time ago, and you can actually see the photographers she's working with. You see them in the corners of photographs, not the photographs that were sold to the media, but these people have got out of the same van with her. And then the shots that were sold to the media, where it's Meghan putting down flowers, laying flowers, walking around, you see the photographer is inches away from her, making sure he captures these moments. She even pauses as she slowly stands up to make sure that they've captured the right shot. This is not a woman that is down there because she is understanding as a mother. That entire community was truly devastating. The whole state of Texas, America. I mean, it's absolutely devastating, these shootings, especially when it's so many young, innocent lives lost. Meghan used Uvalde to promote herself, and it's still one of the things that I think it's the most repugnant thing she's ever done. It was bad enough, the cemetery, where they walked over the US soldiers' graves and shut down the cemetery and took in a fashion photographer. But this one, you couldn't think that they could go any lower. But that's why I find it interesting that Mandana actually brought this up as a way to try and clap back and say, Meghan's so wonderful. Why would you remind the world of one of the most truly awful, selfish things that she's ever done? That's not a good reminder.
Yes, I know, which makes me think that Meghan Markle is actually choreographing this clapback, because she truly is really bad at PR.
Oh,
I mean, we've had ample illustrations of that over the last 5 years. She's shocking. She doesn't know what she's doing. So I think she is actually sort of, doing all this. I wanted to talk to you about Harry's security in New York City, because I saw you did a really good tweet about that. And I just thought it really impacted me, because you showed the photograph of him coming out through this underground car park, and he was surrounded by bodyguards.
Like he was the president.
And then you pointed out, there was one photographer across
the other side of the road. I mean, just a random guy in a pair of shorts or something. It's absolutely crazy. The thing is, we know that Prince William, when he went to New York, he went jogging around Central Park with basically one bodyguard. No one recognised him. And let's keep this very real about Harry. No matter how much he plasters himself in the media and on social media, the majority of Americans could walk past him in the street and not recognise him. You know, and Harry having that amount of security, bearing in mind that the cars are always blacked out, all he's got to do is get into a car. No one would know who is in that vehicle. But by having such a big show and all of the security outside, it draws attention to them.
Exactly. It was like he was the president,
Yeah.
and, you know, World War III had just been declared and they were getting
Honestly.
into safety. It was just so over the top. It was crazy. One thing you said then was really interesting, because you said a lot of people in the USA wouldn't even know who he was. Well,
Yeah.
you know how he was on Jimmy Fallon about 5 hours ago, everyone, they announced that he was on Jimmy Fallon, and he went through Jimmy Fallon's Tonightmare, which is like a haunted house thing, right?
Yeah.
And one of the girls that does the haunting, they showed her on camera say, "Who is that?" They showed that. And then someone said, "It was Prince Harry." And then she made a big thing of going, oh, and it was so fake. It was so fake. But he's trying to do the happy chappy, aren't I cool, aren't I young, aren't I trendy? Oh, I'm
It's
so
ridiculous.
great being on Jimmy Fallon. But if you watch the whole video, he comes across as so boring. He doesn't have anything funny to say.
No.
He screams a lot and he swears. And at the end of it, when they come out, someone jumps out to scare him again, and he pretends he's going to deck him. And it just comes across as really inappropriate and aggressive. Have you seen the clip?
I've seen the bit with Harry going like, "Oh yeah, look, I'm tough. I'm gonna punch this person in the face." The thing is, Shauna, as well, I think it's highlighting even more ridiculous and how lost Harry is. He's got to start picking a lane. He's either that juggling court jester outside his wife's window and the guy that's fun and going on a Jimmy Fallon show and, you know, having a bit of a giggle, or he's this person that we've had stuffed down our throats for the past week. He's a serious thinker. He is a global leader. He's very serious about climate change and mental health. I mean, he's been socializing with dignitaries, with heads of organizations, the WHO, other members of royal family from the Lesotho and Belgium. And then the next minute, he's doing a comedy skit. You are either that celebrity, that ex-prince of the royal family, and I think possibly Americans would have probably liked him a bit more if he'd have stayed on that path, or you're this preachy person sitting in your ivory tower telling everybody how they should live while he's jumping from mass SUV gas-guzzling vehicles and private jets like they're his own personal Uber.
Yeah,
He has got to pick a lane.
He's got to pick a lane. You're right. And the Fallon thing was so B-grade celebrity. It was really bad.
Oh.
It was just so bad.
The thing is, Jimmy Fallon had other guests on, serious guests, that he later interviewed. Harry wasn't one of those serious guests. Harry was the comedy skit. Harry has gone from being a prince of the United Kingdom to America's court jester.
Well, I wonder whether the purpose of it is the memes that have come from that, Taz, because people are putting up memes with Meghan as a grotesque sort of horror head in between Jimmy Fallon and
Meghan.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering whether it was contrived. Do you think anyone, I'm not suggesting it's the royal family in any way. I'm not saying that. But do you think whoever's handling Harry's PR at the moment is really contriving all these situations and then using these situations, because Meghan is coming out of it so badly.
Well, this is just my theory. I think that they are very, very close to splitting officially. And I think that Harry is the one that's being elevated by WME. It seems that Harry is the one that's getting all of these gigs. Harry is the one being promoted. Meghan is having a butt kicking in the media at the moment. If it wasn't her and I didn't think of all the awful things that she's done to people, I would genuinely feel sorry for any celebrity that was being piled on as much as she is. But this is where I think it's showing the true colours of the relationship between the couple. Harry's not defending her, and Harry is the one that is coming off lightly yet again. And Harry always will, because there are still so many people, one, that just blame Meghan wholeheartedly, which I don't. I think that Harry is a complete jerk anyway. I think in some ways he's betrayed his family far worse than what Meghan did. He's the enabler, as they said. But people are going to give him a free pass because
Yeah.
he is Diana's second son. And some people will always see Harry as that 12-year-old little boy walking behind his mother's coffin. So if Meghan thinks that she's going to get the upper hand, if this is the way that if a divorce does happen, I think we're going to see that Meghan is at this point going to be the one that gets officially fed to the wolves, while Harry will probably come off, as I said, a lot lighter than what she will.
Yes, and that's what really infuriates me. You know, I'm not a Harry fan.
No, me
I'm not a
either.
Harry
Me either.
fan. I had sympathy for him when he was a little boy and everything, but I think,
Yeah.
you know, there's a time where you grow up and there's a time where you take control. And he just, he infuriates me. I just find him to be such a sulky little bully himself. Yeah, he's just awful. But there is a lot of sympathy out there, Taz. I've been looking through it today, and also on Palace Confidential, Royal Rota. There's a lot of sympathy for Harry. They're sort of dragging up all the past wonderful things he's done, and how we're seeing the old Harry and how refreshing it is, and there's all these really sad face photographs too, and people are saying, I'm worried about him. I saw Good Morning Britain, and I don't know the name of the lady that's on it, but she said, to be honest with you, I'm really concerned for him. He looks like his mother looked, you know, when she was really upset. And and I'm just throwing things at the television at this stage.
Meghan is now seeing basically what she's done to other people. She's having it done to her. And I can't help but think the fact that Harry's not defending her, that he might be behind it. Hell, for all we know, he might be one of the 12, Shauna, that went to Hollywood Reporter. I mean, at this point, Harry is not defending his wife. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And yes, we are seeing a real shift about Harry as this poor, innocent man. And I'm sorry, I will not let him get off that lightly. I think his treatment of his grandparents, his father, his brother, Catherine, what he's allowed his wife to do, simply calling him an enabler doesn't give him a free pass. He did far worse. He sold his family down the river like Judas, 30 pieces of silver. Meghan was always an attention-seeking starlet, desperate for fame, that has stomped on people throughout her entire life to get fame and fortune. Is Meghan really that much of a different character from who she's always been? Not really. Harry, however, Harry is the one that has betrayed them in the worst possible ways. So I'm sorry, I'm not falling for any of this, look at poor Harry. Whilst I think that Meghan did nurture the worst possible traits that Harry had. Harry had those traits, that anger and that jealousy, quite clearly simmering there. There's no way that people could blame her for everything that he said and done. That's all on him. So like you, Shauna, I think that you and I are not going to be falling for this poor, sweet Harry routine anytime soon.
No. And I actually said if he ends up on the balcony again, I'm done. I don't think he will be. I don't think he will.
No.
It's not going to happen. I do think Harry was quite willing to weaponize Meghan at the beginning because I think he found her really powerful and a really handy tool to get at people and snipe at people and sort of stand behind her. It was like putting out an attack dog. You know,
he has used Meghan as much as she has used him. I totally agree with that. And not enough people say that, Shauna. He absolutely used Meghan as a middle finger to his family. So when they started saying, look, slow down, you need to know this woman is up for it, Meghan played it's because they're racist, it's because they're snobbish, it's because of this. And Harry used Meghan to be like, you're not going to tell me no, I'm going to do exactly what I want. He has made his bed. He can definitely lie in it.
Yes, definitely. I was going to get on to the P. Diddy thing in relation to Harry because there's a lot of really over-the-top rumours out there. People think Harry's going to be implicated in the P. Diddy thing and that this is all a distraction to try and distract from that. Who knows? I mean, I'd believe anything at this stage. But I did do a lot of research on it today. I really delved. I can't find anything that I can sort of verify. All I can find is that 2007 Diana 10-year anniversary concert
Yeah.
that William and Harry actually attended, and Harry got a photograph with Diddy at the after show party, and William came and joined them for the photograph. Actually, that is really juicy, that one, because that was the one where Catherine and William got back together. After that party, you know how they broke up. Well, after that party, they went off and sort of snogged in the in the corner and just had eyes only for each other at that after party. And that was when they were really sort of coming out and showing everyone that they were back together, because then the rumours flew after that party. So that's lovely. So that party does have good connotations as well. But that's all I found. And the only other thing I found was in Spare, where he said we had to get A-listers and Diddy was named as one of the A-listers. But I can't find anything. Can you find anything?
To be fair, I haven't done a deep dive on it. The whole reason why Harry's name got thrown into the ring, I think he was a bouncer or someone that worked for Diddy, like his close security that actually
Yes, it was
Harry.
a bodyguard, yeah.
But as far as photographs go and any sort of evidence, I haven't ever read or seen anything. Now, I do believe that Harry went to a P. Diddy party, because we know that Harry would go to any sort of celebrity party at the drop of a hat. He went famously to Courtney Cox's house and then threw her under a bus later by divulging the fact that there were drugs going round, and he ended up talking to a bin high on mushrooms, which obviously didn't go down that well, I'd imagine, with the Hollywood set. But
no,
the fact that they named Harry specifically has always intrigued me, because they said sports stars, singers, actors, foreign royalty, they could have said, but they specifically drilled down on Prince Harry. So I do think there's obviously something there. They might have used Harry like people, whenever they want to bring attention to Epstein, they always bring up Prince Andrew. It could be a way to use Harry's name to make sure it gets definite media coverage. You know, everyone's like, oh, Prince Harry, which obviously it has worked. But the fact that this guy went out of his way in the legal paperwork, as I said, not just to say foreign royals, to specifically name him, I think there might be some truth to Harry going.
There might be some smoke. There might be, yeah.
Yeah, as they say.
Well, he would go to any party back then, because that was in his drug-taking days that he freely admits in Spare. So I guess he probably thought that he'd get some free whatever if he turned up at the party.
I'm not so sure he stopped those days, to be honest with you, Shauna. And I
yes, I know.
Like
he seemed, let's just say he seemed quite wired at quite a few of his speeches.
Healthy, let's put it that way.
No, he really doesn't. Yeah. And there was another thing that came out today. There's stuff coming out all the time.
Honestly, I can't keep up with it.
I know. I wish they'd spread it out over a month. But Boris Johnson's got a new book coming out, and evidently he discloses that he was asked by people at the palace, he doesn't say who, so I'm assuming it's an aide, to convince Harry to stay in the UK and not exit the UK with Meghan. And it was just after he did his last speech, and Boris Johnson spoke to him for 20 minutes backstage trying to convince him to stay. And he said it was useless and it was a stupid idea and he didn't know why he was asked to do it in the first place.
Yeah, typical Boris style. But it's very interesting that this has come out when it has, because it's also, again, very damaging to Harry and Meghan's narrative that they had to flee for their lives. We know that that was a narrative that they only did after the Queen gave them a year to change their minds. And then basically the Queen called their bluff and stripped them of everything. That they then started this narrative of the evil, cold Royal Institute that near enough pushed them both to exhaustion and burnout and suicide and all of the other crap that came out. But with Boris, the fact that the royal family tried to get the Prime Minister to convince him to stay shows that many people were blindsided by Harry and Meghan's Megxit announcement, and the fact that they didn't want them to leave. They tried desperately to keep Harry. Well, I'd say Harry, definitely. I'm sure they wouldn't have minded if Meghan had gone at this point. But it's very, very clear from what Boris said, there was no talking to him at this point. So again, it throws water on their fires and all of the lies that they told about the evil royal family. The fact that they tried to get Boris, who I'm not sure is possibly the best person to convince anybody of anything, but to convince him to stay.
Yeah. Well, he's very sort of charming and affable. Maybe they thought that.
He's funny. He's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. So maybe they thought it was a good idea. I don't know. So I have sort of asserted on my channel that there is no way she can come back from this. She's done and dusted. She's all washed up. That's it. A lot of people say, oh, no, Shauna, she's going to pop up her head. She's always got a plan. She's a girl with a plan. What do you think?
Hollywood is full of famously nasty people. You've got some really horrific people like Chrissy Teigen, who I won't go into some of the posts that she famously did about children, but needless to say, I think every single laptop and her children should have been taken out of her home that she shares with John Legend. Truly the stuff of vile nightmares. She was cancelled. She was cancelled because she told Courtney Stodden, a 16-year-old girl at the time, to kill herself. She was a very, very nasty person and someone that Meghan now associates as a friend. But after being cancelled, Chrissy Teigen has been invited to White House dinners while her husband performs. She's been uncancelled. Ellen is still doing the rounds. All right, she had to quit her show because how can she preach kindness to people when she also herself has been a tyrant? But she hasn't been cancelled. James Corden. There are lots of famous people, and especially, again, Ellen, James Corden, Chrissy Teigen, all in the same circles of Meghan, that they never really truly get cancelled. Meghan will make money for other networks, whether it's a divorce story, whether it's a book. Meghan can still earn money, but it will involve her obviously going back to what she does best, and that's trashing the royal family and potentially her husband. So right, yeah, I think that Meghan will be around for many, many, many years. I do not think
that's really interesting. It's quite alarming when you hear you sort of list all those names because you realise that they are all named as bullies. People that have, people that work for them have definitely come out and said they've suffered. And so when you hear all that, you see that like does attract like. Doesn't it? I mean, it's just so blatant. That's really interesting. So you think she's going to be sort of this trashy tell-all sort of. So she's going to be digging at the royal family.
She already is, isn't she?
Oh, no. So Meghan's never going to, I mean, I don't want to say that we're never going to be rid of this woman because people will misinterpret that and saying that, that I'm being violent or something. I'm not. I'm not. I mean, Meghan has every right to lead a long and happy, healthy life. But I just feel a bit frustrated that this is going to go on then and on and on. There's no end.
Meghan, people follow Meghan because they genuinely love Meghan and think the sun shines out of her bottom. Other people follow her because she's like a slow-moving car crash because people cannot believe what she's up to next. She's fascinating. She's fascinating from a psychological point of view. None of us have ever seen a narcissist of her level on a worldwide stage. Nobody. I cannot think of anyone else. There's lots of narcissists, of course there are, but for Meghan to be such an incredible psychotic one, shall we say, sociopathic one, there's all of these things that have been thrown at her. People are fascinated by her, but she's definitely more of an entertainment package. People watch her because they find her funny. We do. I genuinely am uninterested to see what she's going to do next because it's going to be something absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, crazy. And in the Tom Sykes article, it was really interesting because it was actually a royal courtier that spoke to Tom Sykes and said when everything's going her way, she's absolutely lovely. She is as wonderful as she says. But when she's crossed, she goes into this narcissistic rage. A little bit like me, Taz. I'm like that behind the scenes.
I don't believe that. No way. No way.
So if I was Meghan, I would probably, the only thing she could do would be to come out, admit it and say, look, I'm sorry. I need to go away and contemplate. I need to go to rehab or something.
Anger management.
Yes, she needs to sort of come out with a big confession, go back on Oprah, do the big interview and all that. So, okay, let's fast forward to the fact that you're right. We're going to get an announcement that they're officially separated. Okay, because I don't think that's a bridge too far to imagine. I've heard rumour, and it's said in a lot of articles today, that a professional separation is going to be announced. And then
Mhm.
you would think and that like they're testing the waters and then, it'll go on. So say that's been announced. Harry's back in the UK.
They've
Now,
casually uncoupled. Yeah.
yes. What are we going to do with him? Where are we going to put him?
Okay, so there's two sides to this. Harry is a member of the royal family being the key word. What they choose to do with Harry is completely up to them. He is their son, their brother, their brother-in-law. It's completely private if they want to forgive him and have him at family Christmas parties and trust him. So there's that aspect of it. But him having any sort of role as working for the monarchy and the crown, that cannot happen anytime soon. I think it would take decades before the public would be willing to have Harry back. Maybe if there was a big sob story from Harry, like we said, we know that people have got a soft spot for him, that he could blame evil Meghan. She's the one that did this to him. He goes to rehab and stuff. There could be some sort of rehabilitation story for Harry, slowly but surely. But I think generally a lot of the public wouldn't like to see him taking up any sort of working position for the firm. I think the best way for Harry to genuinely rehabilitate himself is to go to the Sutu, to his second home from home. He can stay out there, he can work quietly on the charities out there. He's friends with the royal family out there. Stay out there. And to be honest with you, I do think that Harry was genuine, that part of his soul is in Africa. I do believe that. I think Harry, when he was even with Chelsea, I believe there's something about Harry that he did genuinely find that place and love it. And I think that he really needs to go there and actually do good things. Go back to genuinely caring about other people, not the celebrity world, not trying to do paparazzi strolls, not trying to elevate your wife and give these boring doomsday speeches, but actually go back and remember who you were when you were at your happiest. And then maybe after him being out there in Lesotho for a number of years and genuinely having a climb down and reset factory settings, as it were, then maybe the public might turn around and see him come back. He's not betrayed his family anymore. Then maybe. There is always a redemption story for people, and there is going to be a redemption story for Harry.
I guess so, but you know what? I'm not convinced that betrayal of him in Africa, that sort of caring person that's shunned the spotlight, I'm not convinced by that. I pick up he loves the attention. He loves the spotlight, and I think he is genuinely pathologically jealous of William.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he could, go in the background. I think it would kill him.
I'm saying that's what I think could happen to help improve his image and what he could. But
the story.
My
yes,
deep belief,
yes.
Yeah, my deep beliefs are Harry is a very nasty person. And if he could do this once to his family, he can do it again. People talk about Meghan being Harry's first wife and he'll remarry. How can anyone presume that someone as stupid as Harry has behaved, that his next wife isn't going to be a carbon copy of Meghan?
Yes.
If Harry can do this level of betrayal to all of his family, his grandparents were near enough. Well, Prince Philip was practically 100. The Queen was like 90. Was she 96 or 98? I mean, he could do that to his grandparents when they were in their final years and not just hurt them, trying to destroy their life's work. He attacked the Queen's legacy. So my personal beliefs about Harry is he is a nasty human being, and I do not think that he should be let off lightly. I think he is just as bad, if not in some cases, actually far worse than his wife. But for him having a redemption arc, yes, I see it happening if he left her. Yeah,
I can see it too, which fills me with horror because I think about William and Catherine and I just think, wow, they've put up with so much,
They have.
and that would be just such a slap in the face for him to seemingly get away with all of that. I better let you go because we've prattled on for so long.
We have, haven't we?
I think we could just go all night.
I know. It's so easy to talk to you. I feel like we're neighbours and we see each other with a glass of wine every week,
Yes, well, I mean, it's really early in the morning for Taz, so it's not really sort of wine time for her, but for me it is. It's night time here in Oz. Well, for Christmas, we'll have to get together and have a drink. We'll have to think of a better time so we can have a drink and have a fun Christmas recording.
Shauna, it would be Christmas. It's perfectly acceptable for me to drink at 9:30 in the morning.
Oh, true. Of course it is. From the 1st of December.
Exactly. Bring a bottle of Baileys, have a pint of Baileys on ice. It'd be fantastic.
Oh, perfect. We'll do it. You're on. Well, thanks for joining me, gorgeous, and I'll see you again soon.
Yeah,
Bye.
you take care and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.